going on, guys? Orms Forum coming at you guys today with a late video, a late aftermath of the Texans, of the Houston Texans visiting the Detroit Lions, Ford Field last Thursday, Turkey Day. Happy Thanksgiving Day. Hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. By the way, sorry this video's coming out so late, man, guys. But it is what it is, and let's get down to it, man. This is the aftermath, and we all know what happened. Texans routed the Detroit Lions 41-25. It was embarrassing to say the least. Again, national TV, in front of millions and millions of people, making people vomit before they have to go eat some turkey and a little cranberry sauce. But it is what it is. This is what happened. They lost 41-25. Now, the quarterbacks, Deshaun Watson went 17 for 25, 318 yards, 4 nice touchdown passes, 0 interceptions. He sacked twice. He got 4 quarterback hits, so he was hit at least 4 times. With a completion percentage of 68%. Looked really good out there. We'll get more of that in a bit. Matt Stafford went 28 for 42, throwing all day because they can't run. 295 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, sacked 4 times, and he was hit about 8 times. Quarterback hits at a 67% completion percentage. Both quarterbacks look really good, especially Watson. Watson looked really, really good. Stafford, for the most part, you know what I mean? 67%. You can't ask for anything too much better. Touchdown passes aren't coming because there's just no one. I'm not trying to make excuses here, but there's just no one to throw to right now, man. No Kenny Galladay, no Danny Amendola, no DeAndre Swift out of the backfield. We got guys like Mohamed Sanu, who's barely played in 2 years, coming out there and scoring touchdowns. So no separation from any wide receivers, even when we got Galladay in there and Amendola. Those guys can't separate, even though I love Galladay. No knock on Galladay. He's a beast. But it's tough, man, when you have to have your number 2 be Marvin Hall, Quintez Cephas. You don't know what's going on. You don't know who you're going to be throwing the ball to. It's a tough go around. I thought Stafford was okay this game. I really do. For the most part. You know what I mean? He's got really no one to throw to. So, but let's go on to the rushing attack. The Houston Texans had Duke Johnson. He went nine carries for 37 yards on 0 touchdowns at 4.1% YPC. Him with an 8 long. Deshaun Watson had 8 carries for 24 yards, no touchdowns. On an average of 3 yards per carry, 12 long. CJ Prosise, their backup running back, had their third string running back, had 5 carries for 12 yards and a fumble on a 2.4 YPC with a 7 long. Then Jordan Akins, their tight end, had 1 carry for 4 yards on a 4 average and a 4 long. So their rushing attack didn't do anything really. Houston, they didn't have a great rushing attack. Nothing special. No touchdowns, anything like that. They just they were pretty consistent with the average, but nothing to bark home about. Nothing to, you know what I mean? Like nothing special from Houston there. They did all their damage through the air. So, and their kicking game was pretty good too. They had a couple field goals as well. But our running backs, our rushing attack. Adrian Peterson had 15 carries for 55 yards and a couple 1-yard scores on a 3.7 YPC with a 19 long. Kerryon Johnson had 11 carries for 46 yards on a 4.2 YPC, 8 long, and a fumble. Fumble lost, actually. Then Jonathan Williams, too, as well. The guy that I wanted to see get going had 1 carry for 5 yards. Lost the ball on a fumble. So you didn't see him carry the ball after that, which kind of sucks, but that's just the way it is, right? Then Stafford had a carry for 3 yards, and then Kabinda had 1 carry for no yards on I think it was a 4th down. They tried to sneak him in there, and he got shut down. He got completely shut down. No idea why they're running a fullback like him, a converted linebacker on a 4th down, but I digress, man. What are you going to say? Like, what are you going to do? It's just Frustrating, guys. Frustrating, guys. They didn't even have over. They almost got to 100 yards as a unit, but they just short, just barely short. 55, 65, 75, 85, 95, 65, 75, 85, 95. Yeah, they got it. They barely got it. Maybe 100 plus on the ground. AP got in the end zone at least twice, but there was nothing really there, guys. There was nothing there all day. There wasn't too many holes getting opened up. Our running backs weren't really opening up any holes. It was just a weak game all around. Now on to the Houston receiving. This is where it got really funny. Will Fuller, who's a speedster on that team, 6 catches for 171 yards, 2 touchdowns on 7 targets. He had a field day. He had an absolute field day. Brandon Cooks had a nice day, 5 catches, 85 yards, no touchdowns on 5 targets. Duke Johnson, 3 catches, 43 yards on a really nice touchdown grab on 4 targets. Kiki Kuti had 2 catches for 17 yards, no touchdowns on 3 targets. CJ Procise had 1 catch for 2 yards on 1 target. Then Akins and Kahale Waring had no catches, but they did have it. Akins had 2 targets and Waring had 1. I thought their tight ends would get a little more involved this game because Watson loves using his tight ends, but it just never came full circle. It just never happened. And Will Fuller and Brandon Cooks did all the damage. So there was no real need to even run the ball or even throw to anybody else because Will Fuller was eating whoever was on him. He must have burned Desmond Trufant multiple times. So much that Desmond Trufant hurt himself out of the game. And we'll talk more about that coming up later on, probably in my preview about with the Bears game coming up. But he's done for the year. So just to give you a little breaking news there. Now that's breaking news because we all already knew about it. So yeah, it was a really good day for those 2 wide receivers, especially Fuller. Fuller just ate whoever was on top of him, and like I said, Deshaun Watson. It looked like Deshaun Watson and Will Fuller were literally playing backyard football. It looks like they were playing backyard football. He was with ease throwing touchdown passes, like without even breaking a sweat, without even trying, just gashing, running by whoever was on him, and just like pitch and catch, just me and you, let's go on the football field. It was sad. It was sad and pathetic. And then our receiving guys, Hawkinson had 5 catches for 89 yards on 8 targets. He was having a huge day in the first quarter. He was up to 75 yards or something like that in the first quarter. Going into the second quarter, big yards. I think it was a record too. I'm pretty sure it was a record for tight ends in the last how many years, whatever. But then he only ended up with about 15 more yards after that, 14, 15 more yards, which was strange. He did have 8 targets though, but he just couldn't find a connection. I thought he was going to end up with like 150, 160 yards on the day. That's how good he looked in the first quarter, but he didn't. Then Kerryon Johnson had 4 catches for 52 yards, no touchdowns, 4 targets. Marvin Jones had 6 catches for 48 yards, 12 targets. They really tried to get him involved in this game, just couldn't click with Stafford, just couldn't get it done. Mohamed Sanu had 4 catches, 32 yards, and a touchdown. It was nice to see Mohamed get in the end zone. It was nice to see him getting involved. He got involved late, so when the game was pretty much out of hand, but he did have 4 targets as well. Caught all 4 balls, so that's nice to see. Quintez Cephas had 2 catches for 27 yards. Seems to be his norm. And on 2 targets. Jonathan Williams, who I said I wanted to see get the rock in the running game, ended up getting some passes. So he had 4 catches, 21 yards on 4 targets, caught all his balls. And then Marvin Hall had 2 catches for 16 yards on 4 targets. And then Jesse James had 1 catch for 10 yards on 1 target. And then Stafford, Agnew, and Kabinda all had a target each. Tried to get a little trickery with Stafford, so didn't work though. Nobody caught a ball. On the defense, guys. Houston's defense was all over the place again, playing well. making tackles, making plays, doing what a defense is supposed to do. You know what I mean? They had 6 pass deflections altogether, 8 quarterback hits. So they were all over Stafford. Tyrell Adams, their linebacker, had a crazy day, man. He racked up a bunch of tackles, 17 tackles, 1 pass deflect. Zach Cunningham, the linebacker I really like, had 9 tackles. Justin Reed had 8 tackles, a sack, tackle for loss, couple quarterback hits. Vernon Hargrave, the other corner, had 6 tackles. Lonnie Johnson Jr. had 6 tackles. Nate Hall, he was a big problem, the linebacker. He had 5 tackles, couple sacks, 2 tackles for loss, couple quarterback hits. Keon Crossan, 5 tackles. J.J. Watt had 4 tackles, pass deflect, 1 quarterback hit, and he had that interception and a touchdown. The interception he had was, I thought it was a really nice play. People want to blame Stafford for it. It ball was thrown low. Yes, it was. But it was a play that J.J. Watt has made in his career a few times. He's done it to some of the greats. He's done it to Drew Brees for sure. Stafford tried to throw the ball in the flats to whoever he was trying to throw to. I don't know who he was trying to throw to. Maybe Kerryon Johnson. Not 100% sure. But he jumped up, made a nice play, hit him right in the hands. The kid, J.J. Watt's he has hands like frying pans. Okay. He has hands like frying pans. You got to get that ball up a little bit more. But it's a play J.J. Watt makes. You know what I mean? It's not just a bad play on Stafford. Yeah, he should have thrown a little higher, but intercepting a ball like that in that close range is just shows how much of an athlete you truly are. And J.J. Watt is a future Hall of Famer. It was a great play. It was a really good play by J.J. Watt. And then Eric Murray had 3 tackles. Jonathan Grenard had 2 tackles and a pass deflect. Charles Emmanuel had 2 tackles, 2 quarterback hits. Corey Luget had 2 tackles, 1 tackle for loss. Brandon Dunn, 2 tackles. Ross Blacklock, the defensive tackle, had 2 tackles. Whitney Merciless had a tackle and a sack, tackle for loss, 1 quarterback hit. Carlos Watkins had a tackle. Peter Columbi had 1 tackle. A.J. Moore, by the way, is C.J. Moore, our guy from Detroit, the special team ace safety. A.J. Moore and C.J. Moore are 2 identical twins. That was really nice seeing those two brothers bump up, give each other some daps before the game. It was really nice to see, man. They're having some fun out there. 2 identical twins. I didn't even know that, so that was cool to see. But A.J. Moore, he had a tackle. Bradley Roby had a pass deflect. I think he also had a fumble recovery. And then Jacob Martin had a pass deflect at a linebacker. So their defense played well overall. You know, they got the job done. They pressured Stafford, stopped the run for the most part, gave up a couple 1-yard scores. Those are hard to stop. But they did the most part. You know what I mean? They did their thing against that offense, against that makeshift offense, man. That's all. There was no real threat out there except Marvin Jones, and we all know what Marvin Jones is, man. He's a number 2 in this league. So, and then they made adjustments on T.J. Hawkinson because T.J. Hawkinson was burning him for a couple big plays real early, and then he kind of just didn't do nothing afterwards. So Houston adjusted. They did what they were supposed to do, man. That's what good teams. They're not a good team, but that's what defenses do. They try to adjust, defense or offense. So that's what they did. Now on to our defense, guys. On our defense, man. Jamie Collins had 5 tackles, pass deflect. Oh, let's start off with this. We did have 4 quarterback hits, yay, and 3 pass deflects. So, you know what I mean? Whatever, man. Just makes me sick to my stomach. Jaron Curse had 4 tackles. Deron Harmon had 3 tackles. Christian Jones, 3 tackles and a tackle for loss. You just notice a trend here. No sacks, no hits. Like, you know what I mean? It just it goes all the way down the line. Coleman with 3 tackles. Reggie Ragland with 3 tackles. Gerard Davis had 3 tackles. He had half a sack, quarterback hit, and half a tackle for loss. C.J. Moore, A.J. Moore's identical brother, by the way. Might as well say that again. 2 tackles. Will Harris had 2 tackles, our safety. And Nick Williams kind of had an okay day. He had 2 tackles, a sack, tackle for loss, 1 quarterback hit. Nick Williams' first sack of the year. Only took him 12 weeks. So good job there. Yeah, so he had an okay day. Griffin, 2 tackles, half a sack, half tackle for loss, 1 pass deflect, and 1 quarterback hit. I want to say something about Everson Griffin, man. Everson Griffin, I really love that trade. I really do, man. I bash this defense because they deserve to be bashed. But that guy was a good trade by Bob Quinn. It really was. That's the guy, man, that you see jumping on the sidelines. Those are the type of guys that you want to see get fired up. Like a lot of people say that Stafford doesn't show enough emotion. Who cares about your quarterback not showing emotion? I want to see emotion from my defensive players. And that's a guy that actually shows up to play. He does. He shows up to play. He didn't have a great stat line. He did have half a sack, but he creates a lot of pressure. I kind of get on him, man, but he creates pressure. He creates push. He gets in the backfield. He does his thing. He's a guy that's in people's faces. He's in the opponent's face, and then he's in his own players' faces. He's on the sideline. He's vocal. His eyes are about as bright as saucers. He's fired up. He's yelling. He's constantly trying to communicate with his guys, dancing, waiting for the old line to walk up. He's chirping. I really like him. I kind of hope they retain him. I just don't know where the money's going to come from because we have a lot of work to do. I would kind of hope that they would try to retain him, the new regime, but who knows? He probably doesn't want to be there. He probably doesn't want to be there. Patricia probably ruined it, but hopefully this Bevel thing and this Corey Unlin thing kind of like gel, and they make it more comfortable to be there. But he's a guy that I'm really glad they brought in Everson Griffin. I'm really glad they did because he's showing that he still loves the game of football and he's trying to have fun out there while trying to win football games. So good for him trying to do that, man. I'm actually happy that happened, that we actually got him. It's just hopefully he's not jaded. Hopefully he just wants out of here. Who knows, right? Then Amani Oruwariye had 2 tackles. He didn't have the greatest game himself. Jelani Tavai had a couple tackles. Romeo Akwara, 2 tackles and a quarterback hit. He was real quiet. Desmond Trufant had a tackle and a pass deflect. Abushi had a tackle. Our offensive guard must have been on either a fumble. I think it was on the fumble, actually. It was either from Jonathan Williams or Kerryon Johnson. I forget, but he ended up with the tackle. Danny Shelton had a tackle for loss. News on him, too, coming up down the line. Tracy Walker had a tackle, then Jonathan Pennicini, the rookie out of Utah, also had a tackle. So their defense didn't do much, guys. They got a couple sacks on Watson, but he had a field day against this defense. He had a field day against this defense through the air. They didn't do anything on the ground, but they're not a running team without David Johnson. David Johnson was out for this game, and Duke Johnson was their main carrier, was the main running back, and they didn't run well, but they didn't have to. They just gashed them through the air. So the scoring went, Adrian Peterson had a touchdown run in the first quarter, made it 7-0. J.J. Watt had that interception, made it 6-7. Detroit on a missed extra point. And then C.J. Prosise had a touchdown pass, 2 yards from Deshaun Watson, made it 13-7 Houston. Going into the second quarter, Adrian Peterson had another one-yard touchdown run, made it 13-14 for Houston. 13-14 Detroit. Duke Johnson had a touchdown pass, made it 20-14 Houston, and then Houston hit a field goal to made it 23-14. Going into the third quarter, we're still kind of in it, you know what I mean? 23-14, not that bad, you're in it. Then halftime came, Detroit Prater hit a field goal, made it 23-17. Now we're down by a score. And then Houston's field goal kicker, they hit a field goal, made it 26-17 going into the fourth quarter, and that's when it kind of opened up, guys. It was done. That's when it really opened up. Will Fuller had a big ball for 40 yards, made it 34-17 on an easy pitch and catch. Just blew by everybody. Nobody was even within 5 yards of him on this touchdown pass. It was a 40-yard touchdown pass, made it 34-17 Houston, and then boom, another big one. Another touchdown pass, another 34-yarder to Will Fuller. Made it 41-17. Game was done. Route was done. And then we ended up with a late touchdown pass to Mohamed Sanu for 14 yards that made it 41-25. So the route was on. The route was official. It was done. Got our butts kicked on Thanksgiving Day again. Matt Patricia, Bob Quinn get fired. So we all knew that was coming, guys. But how this game went, it was just, it was an okay game up until about mid second quarter. You can kind of see it slipping away from Detroit. You know what I mean? They scored a couple touchdowns through the ground. Stafford wasn't really getting anything going the whole game. He wasn't bad, but they weren't getting down there to score or anything. So it was just an ugly game to watch. It was no fun. It was no fun. Yeah, the score was kind of close up until the second quarter, up until the third, and then you could kind of see Houston running away with it. Like I said, nothing really exciting to talk about, man. Like I said, I was talking about Griffin earlier. I was talking about Griffin earlier. I like his energy. I like his style. I'd really like for them to try to re-sign him, but does he want to stay here? He doesn't know who's coming in, who's going. They got so much to work on. They got Romeo Okwara, who's a free agent too as well. So they're going to have two defensive ends that are going to be free agent bound. And I'm assuming the Lions are going to try to keep Okwara because he's younger, but I don't know. I love Griffin's energy. I love his energy. He kind of showed up a little bit for defense. He played well. Nick Williams finally had a good game. It took him 12 weeks to have a really good game. And a couple tackles, a sack. He got to the quarterback. So it was good to see that, man. And nobody else really stood out. Jared Davis had half a sack. Whatever. Jamie Collins just does his weekly thing with about 5 or 6 tackles. A pass, either gets a pass deflect or a fumble recovery or forced fumble. He doesn't do anything special, but he's probably our best defensive player, and that's sad in itself. So there's not really much to talk about our defense again, guys. We got gashed again, or beat up through the air especially. So they held on the ground though, but they were facing guys that had no business being running backs really on the ground. Duke Johnson's not a running back. He's a threat receiving the football, and they don't have anybody special. They would have David Johnson in there. It could have been a different story. You know what I mean? He could have gashed him for 100 plus, but who knows? Who knows? They did play well. I guess I will give them credit for playing the run decently. But as for our receiving and our running backs too, it was nice to see Adrian Peterson get in the end zone. It was really nice to see him getting in there. He did his thing, got a couple scores. They still don't run enough for yards, or they still don't get enough carries. But then, the game starts getting out of hand, so they can't really run the football as much. You know what I mean? And receiving-wise, I thought Hawk should have had a better game. I thought for sure he should have been over 100 yards. It looked like he was well on his way. But Houston made adjustments, like I said, and it was tough to see him get going. They tried to get Marvin Jones going. He had 12 targets. He had a ton of targets. They just couldn't get him going. 6 catches, 48 yards. You know what I mean? That's nothing special. It was nice to see Jonathan Williams get some balls out of the backfield through the air. So I like to see that. Maybe that's a trend. Who knows? And it was good seeing Mohamed Sanu get in the end zone. He hasn't really done anything in the last couple of years. You know what I mean? He's kind of been bouncing around. Not sure if he's going to retire. Not sure what he's going to play again. Playing for New England and then going to San Francisco, going here, going there, Atlanta, starting off you know what I mean? He's kind of been everywhere. Mohamed Sanu, so it was nice to see him get in the end zone. But there's just a bad game all around, guys. Gash through the air. Couldn't get anything going on offense. Just the same old story. And it ended up getting Quinn Trisha fired. Ended up getting both those guys fired. On to bigger and better things. So that's my aftermath, guys. It's not really a lot to talk about, man. It's kind of it was a absolute horrible rout. It was a weak game, nothing special. You know what I mean? So that's it, man. We got a game coming up against Chicago. Right now we're 4-7. 4-7 right now. Going up against Chicago, who's been on a losing streak, 5 or 6 losses. I'm trying to figure are they 5-6? 5-7 or something like that? 4-7? I'm having a brain fart. You know what I mean? So we're not playing good football. Chicago's not playing good football. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in that game. So I know Matt Nagy literally called out his whole team. So they're coming in probably fired up. Well, actually, we're going to Chicago, so they're going to be fired up for that game, and they're still fighting for playoffs. So we'll see what happens there, guys. We'll see what happens there. Chicago, it is. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, guys. Like and comment all my videos. Negative, positive, it doesn't matter. I'll try to come at you guys. I love the feedback, negative or positive. And don't forget to hit that notification bell and get all my videos, man. And thanks. Go Lions, man. Let's go. Go Lions. Boom.